So this week on God Bless Grandma's Garage, we get to rebuild the engine. After hunting all the parts and getting everything that we needed to be ordered in, and they finally showed up, we got everything put together. So it looks pretty nice. And by God, I hope it runs just as well as it looks. So let's get into it.
Yo!
So we got the block back, and the problem was the crankshaft was bent or something else, I don't know. But now we gotta go pick up the crankshaft because they forgot to give it to us, and then we're gonna start assembling it. While I'm cleaning up these parts, Big A's over here dumping oil and making a mess.
Putting main bearings in. Somebody does.
Alright, he's putting the main bearings in.
Fun, fun, fun. You gotta love it. Somebody does anyway.
And we have all the torque specs for it. We're just gonna put them all in there and start slowly tightening each one of these down in the torque sequence, and then keep turning this to make sure it spins this time, because last time it froze up. I cut a little notch right here in the wood all the way down, and then I'm going to stick a 1x in between here and screw them together. That way that 1x will sit in that little notch right there, so when we press them it doesn't go any further.
Getting ahead of yourself.
Alright, we're heating them up here on the stove, and then we set it up in here.
On the little thing you made here. Tell them about your little hoodoo.
Put it up there. We put it up there, we slide it in there, and then he beats the pin in there. We got the pin in the freezer, so
better watch how you talk to me.
that's what we're doing, guys. That's how we're heating up, putting the pins in. Alright, so now we got those rods pushed in there. Big A's going in there and setting all the rings on each one of these. They're all standard, so they should all fit, and we shouldn't have to grind them down. So now, after we got the piston rings put on there, Big A's going to slide them in there with this janky tool we got from O'Reilly's. Alright, so we're oiling some of these pieces back here because we're going back in with the pistons,
Rod bearings.
and the rod bearings.
Well, we're putting our pistons in, guys. As you can see, little 4-cylinder. 1 and 4 are going to be up once I get everything in. 2 and 3 will be down. And there's a little arrow inside here that tells you which direction to point the piston to, which is toward the front of the engine. So putting the bearings in and getting everything going back together with everything, guys. See this little notch right here, guys, inside the rod? On this bearing, there's a little notch at the top of the bearing. You have to match that up with the slide here, and there's also a hole that has the match up that's inside the crank. That's how these get oil as the motor's turning. You just push that in, pop them in, and make sure they're even and they're set, just like that. making sure it's level. Put a little oil on it. Alright, let's go in with this bad boy. Arrow to the front. Arrow to the front. Gonna be like that. Then I'll put my bearing in here and it'll match up just like that. Alright, here we go, guys. Here goes nothing. Or something, or somebody. Just like that. Now I'm just going to tighten these down just enough to where they stay together. Once we get it all together under here, then we can start torquing the bolts down. I just want them snug where it'll move on me. Okay, come on, baby. Turn for that. Kind of late, guys. I knocked the old one out, old rear main seal, tapped the new one in, then we're going to go back on here with it, put the gaskets on, get that all fitted up. That way we can put it back on the engine stand and start putting the head and everything else on. Didn't, you know.
It's just a paper gasket we're putting on, so he's putting some
Stick 'em, snick 'em on.
Slick 'em, dick 'em on there on the back.
Yeah, baby. Yeah. Yeah. Just like that. Ding, 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 ding.
Now we gotta find the bolts. In this mess here. So we'll get back to you.
On that toe.
So we just got all these, went into store to sequence 1, 2. We did it to 30, and then we did it to 44. So 44 foot-pounds. So 1, 2, 3, 4.
You just do them in sequence.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's how we did it.
Now on the rod bearings, we're just going to go from the inside out.
And they're
these,
at 36 foot-pounds.
Yeah. All right.
All right, everything's tightened down.
After the machine work, everything is moving like it's supposed to. Just tightening the bolts on the rear main seal.
So on this engine, you have a little oil screen that goes in there, but you have a valley pan that you have to put on before you put the oil pan on. So that's where we're at right now, is we're getting all these put in, and then we're going to put these bolts in here and there, And then we'll get the whole pan put on. So that's what I was talking about. The oil screen runs up that way underneath there. We found some bolts.
All right, guys and girls out there in the real world. I just put the oil pan on the bottom. Looks real good, don't it? Yeah. Roll it back over. I'm fixing to start getting ready to put the head back on it. Boy, look at that nice paint job old Jaybird Cletus did. Look at there. Looks pretty good, guys. We're getting there. We're getting there. Looking good. Look at that transmission over there. Boy, it matches, don't it? Look at that right there. Well, I'll tell you what.
So we got these all the way at the top, and it will show it right here with this little mark here.
When it's on top,
it's pointing right here to that little mark right there.
And on this little 4-banger, when it's on top dead center, number 1 and number 4 are all the way at the top.
Alright, we're finding a couple more parts that we needed to paint. But, you know, after all said and done with everything painted, and I think it'll go for a lot more on the Barrett Jackson. What do you think?
Okay.
Alright, so we got the gaskets, the right one that fits it, and so now we're going to go ahead and slide that head on there.
So we can start assembling.
It has those little
dowels that it sits on.
So it's not hard to mess it up.
If you know, like I know. There we go. Alright, in order to bolt the heads down, we got to move these cams out of the way because the holes for the head bolts are down in the bottom. So, we're going to set them aside and start bolting this head down.
We know where the head bolts are at?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Alright, so we put all the head bolts down inside there. Drop the washer in there and then slide that in there. That's the trick.
That's the easy way to get them in there, huh? And you got 1, 2, 3, 4,
10.
5 long ones and 5 shorties.
So we're just tightening them down by hand right now.
Guys, I guess it's time to start torquing these head bolts down. We'll go in sequence. See our little chart on the board of our sequence of the bolt pattern?
That was the other one.
Yeah.
That was this one.
Yeah. All right. Thanks a lot. Have a good day. Okay. Torque. Alright guys, I'm going to start torquing these here head bolts down. Looks like we're going to start with 44 on first sequence. We might start a little lower than 80. We're going to get there, okay? Keep watching. I'm just kind of snugging them up right now, just getting them down there, you know. Before I get them too tight, just kind of getting them snug like a bug in a rug, baby. Yeah. Okay, guys, I guess I should show you the sequence that we're going in. They all have to be torqued in a certain sequence, and all the time you want to start from the middle out. But every engine has a different sequence. So like this one here, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So, but you have to go in that sequence and tighten everything down. That way you make sure your gasket's getting compressed in the same spots that it needs to. So, That's a little tip. Make sure you do it in sequence. Don't just go through there and torque one side and go to the other side. There's a certain sequence. Look up the sequence and tighten them in the sequence and to the right foot man. Catch you next time. Wow.
So everything is gone to that torque sequence for a 1985 MR2, the 4A-GE motor.
I'm gonna go back and double check and make sure they all click at 40, 45, 44 foot. We went through and showed you the sequence on each bolt on this particular engine. What we did, we went 3 or 4 passes at 44 foot-pounds, and then we did it a 90-degree angle on the last pass, and then we just checked them just to be sure, and they were at 55 or 50 foot-pounds, so we've got everything snug down and tight enough, so we're in good shape, guys. Is we're gonna get ready to install the 2 cams. This is a dual overhead cam engine, so we're going to get ready to get those installed. We'll get everything lubed up, cleaned up, and ready to install. Alright guys, I'm going to grease, put a little oil in the area where these bearings or the cams are going to ride. That way when we start turning this engine, it won't be a dry start. Just going to lubricate all the areas that need be. It's not going to hurt anything because the oil we're using is, it's going to be the right weight of oil that we put in here anyway. So this oil will run down to the bottom of the oil pan eventually. Alrighty. Because I'm going to take this bolt out of the front, put the front plate on, and then what I'll do is get the cam in the right spot on the front of the backing plate. Then I'll know where to set these and then tighten them down. So that's what I'll do.
So he's trying to hunt the bolts down. That's what he's talking about. Sticking this on here just like that.
See the little marks?
And then we'll put that up, and then we can go back with the cranks ourselves.
This plate here has our marks on it, our timing marks, guys. We painted this black, and I put a little red marker there to match the little dot on the cam. So that's our next step.
So here's the mark Big A's talking about, goes to here, but we got to have the top on it to spin this back because it's in like a partial compression or something. I don't know. Just lubing it up. A little more in some areas, but it's all right.
More lube, the easier she gonna move.
All right, so we just put the camshaft bearing caps on, and now he's now we got to take out a bolt. It broke off, so we'll video that. All right, so I got this little thing right here. Oh, you'll see it. Got that little drill. We're gonna try to flatten that all out and down that hole so we can get a drill bit on there. Alright, Mr. Pouty over here broke a bolt, and now we're gonna dig it out, and I ain't pouting about it, but I did file it down so I could find a flat spot, I believe. Now I just gotta find a center punch that's strong enough to dent that metal. Oh well. Alright, well, we're gonna mill this out. I got a little milling tool, and we get to use our new drill press. So I got it set up so that I'm going to mill all this stuff out there, if you can see it. I don't know, maybe. I gotta mill all that out and try to get it down a little bit further. I still have threads down there, but I'll keep working. That's what I'm doing right there, just milling it out, picking it up, blowing it out. Yeah, so I think I got it. Fill it up here with some filler epoxy that does it, and then since this is only 9 foot-pounds, then we'll come back and clean it off and then re-tap it and then put a new bolts in there. So it is what it is, so you know. Oh well, we'll get it. It'll work. I know it will. It'll be just fine. I got it filled up in there. We're gonna let that sit and dry. I'm gonna clean it out tomorrow and sand it down smooth, and go ahead and tap it and put another bolt in there. So yeah, there you guys go. Yeah, so now we get to go find the tap and the die and the bolt. I guess a tap and a bolt. And we're ready to put it back together. So I got the bolt and the drill bit that fits the size of this, I think, and I marked it so while it's spinning I can see how far to go. So we found the tap to the same size as the bolt. So that's what we're going to go in with. I just put the drill in here, and we're going to drill this out down to where the original bolt goes. And I have marked it up here, and you'll see a little blue. I don't know if you'll see it, but maybe it'll show up. So here we go. Oh, I need power. All right, now I plugged it in. Alright, we're down to that spot. Nothing touched on this. We got this all lined up perfect, so I think we're good to go. Okay, so all looks good right here, but I got a cutoff wheel so that I don't really score into this, that I can just lightly take this top of it.
Raise it up.
A little bit too much on that side, but it's still not around the gasket, so it shouldn't leak. Hopefully. Alright, well that's what we got there. Still need to go get another bolt, but I went ahead and tapped it. So now that I fixed it and made a mess, Gay's wanting to go through and pull all the caps off and clean behind them and just make sure the engine's clean again. Right. Yeah. For the third time.
We're gonna try this again. What did it say? Third time the charm? Hell, I ain't got it on there yet. Come on, baby. Come on, baby. Sit
I think you got it on backwards.
Sit it down on there for Dad.
You got it on backwards.
I knew that.
Pick it up.
I knew that. I just making sure you were watching. Thanks.
So we're gonna bolt all this stuff back up to where we were.
If I can get the head on right.
So
Never
we'll let
mind
you
me,
see it
folks.
here in a bit when we get back up there.
Never mind me, folks.
All right, so now we got everything back together. These are torqued down to 9 foot-pounds. Here we had to get a new bolt to put in there. That's that one. So they're all torqued down. Now we're gonna come back over here and line these up, and we'll get the top put on. We'll get all the rest of the fun stuff to put on. All right, so we're tapping the belt puller thingy on there, and then we'll get the other piece comes out and it flares out. It's like a little washer, but that goes on there, and then we'll start tightening everything down.
Beautiful, Andre.
Well, I get to shove gaskets inside covers, so we're getting there. Someone did that. We found some rings, seals that we need to put in the head. So we're gonna pull it back off again and
Do it the third time.
put these seals in there. So I guess everything we got to do is 3 times. So just pull this one off, and we'll slide that one right back on. And we'll re-torque it. Alright, flop them out. You know, they're red, they're nice and pretty, so. The other ones were kind of dry rotted, so it was a good thing that we did that. Alright, so we're putting together the water pump. What was it, 4 bolts?
Yeah.
4 10mm bolts, pull it off,
Mounts
put
to
it
that
on.
little housing. Mounts on the front of the engine like that.
So while I had a dentist appointment today, Big A decided to go ahead and start buttoning up all the timing. We still have a bracket to stick in right here for the motor mount or something like that, and then we'll start buttoning everything else up.
Okay guys, we got the timing belt on. Kind of a good rule of thumb. See how I marked the dots here on this gear? Some of them have a dot inside here. Some of them go by this dot here, which is the correct one here on this motor. But I marked that dot, and if you notice, it's up and down with that line right there. Same with this side here. See how it's in line with that? I know my big finger's in the way, but see how it's in line. And then I put a dot here on the bottom pulley, which is in line with that dot there on the crank. See that little nub sticking up? So, a good rule of thumb, make sure everything's lined up. and shouldn't have any problems. That little jobber keeps the belt on. Once I can get it on, that's kind of like putting that head on backwards, ain't it? Or attempting to anyway. Yeah.
So now we got the oil filter housing on it.
Got the front all assembled.
And
Gotta tighten the bolt on the crank pulley down there. We're getting there.
so we still have to get the distributor done, put the plugs and wires up inside here, and put the cap on here. And so we got all the front on, and back over here we got all the turbo or whatever you're gonna call this. Not sure what it is, but we got injectors. We tried cleaning them. If those don't work, then we'll get some later, but right now we're just trying to put it all back together.
And all the timing and everything is on, and you want to get this to where it's marked right in front of, this is your number one, this point right here. So you want this just behind number one. That way when it rotates around and fires, it'll fire off number one. So now I'm just gonna put the cap on and put the wires on.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, that's what we got. The full engine build. So yeah, guys, I appreciate y'all watching. Keep watching for more of them to come out. We're gonna finish this thing. I think we're calling it Andre Brute. Y'all have a good one, guys.